this video, I want to talk about a very powerful phenomenon, psychological phenomenon that occurs in all of us and affects all of us at different times in our lives. And it's called the psychological effect of takeaway. What that means is you might be in a horrible situation, let's say in a romantic situation, and you have every intention of ending this relationship and leaving it. Or it could be in a situation where you are contemplating buying something, you're kind of on a fence, let's say a car, or an item of clothing, or anything else really, a vase, and you're contemplating, you kind of are unsure, you're on the fence about buying it or not buying it, and then the person who's selling it calls you and says, it's sold, it's no longer available, you can't have it, someone else has put a deposit on it. Or in the case of a relationship, you're really not happy, you're just going through the motions, you could leave it at any time if you found something better, you have every intention of ending it, any day now, and then the other person comes and says, I met someone else, I want to leave you, I'm going. That's the takeaway. Now, sometimes it's done on an intentional basis to have an effect on you, and sometimes it actually does happen. You want to buy something and someone else buys it before you. Or the person you're in a relationship with, albeit an unhappy one, meets somebody else. Somebody else is interested in them, and they leave you. Regardless of whether it's genuine or it's used as a manipulative tactic, it will have the takeaway effect on you, and suddenly now you want it. You've heard the story of the dog and the bone. There was this family who had a little dog, and they got the dog, in the bone and put the bone in the yard. And the dog played with the bone maybe the first or second day for a little while, and then left it alone and never went to it again. And the family was wondering, what happened? Why the dog isn't playing with the bone anymore? That you can't force them to do something they don't want to do. Now, one day, the family has a guest, and this guest has a little dog. And, they come over and they're sitting together and they put the dog in the garden to play, right? So what does the new dog do? It goes straight for the bone and runs to it and tries to, play with it and loves it and acts like, it appears like the new dog, the guest's dog, is in love with this bone. And now what happens to the dog, their own dog, who was abandoning this bone and had no interest in it? Suddenly, all he wants is that bone, because it's the psychology of takeaway taking effect. Do you understand? You better understand it, because that is in all of us. It's like a sleeper cell that's in our mind, and it becomes active at different times in our lives, in different situations. It gets triggered. So you might be in a situation where you are in a horrific relationship, and the person, before you leave them, they kind of come to you and they take themselves away from you, and now you suddenly want them. It's not them that you want, it's the feeling, the psychology, the psychological phenomenon of takeaway taking effect. Or you're buying a car and you're not really sure, you're kind of like 35-40%, and you're not really on the you're really not certain about it, and the salesman calls you and says someone else put a deposit on it. Now you want it. Now you suddenly want that car. It's the psychology of takeaway. And as a proof, let's say the situation where the woman that you were gonna leave, you were not interested in, whatever, suddenly says that, she met somebody, or she's not interested anymore and she wants to leave, and the takeaway, effect, comes to you full force, and you now suddenly want her and everything. And then she turns around and she says, well, yeah, the other guy, I'm not really interested. I want you. I want us to be together again. Now, immediately, that phony phenomenon of the takeaway will melt away again, will completely vaporize and disappear, and you are back to reality. You're 2 feet on the ground, and you're back to the normal reasons, logical reasons why you did not want this relationship. The car situation, oh, the other guy, changed his mind. He doesn't want the car anymore. Now you go back again to being on the fence again because there was a reason you were feeling those things. You weren't 100%. There was a reason you were on the fence and not 100% to begin with. And those same reasons are still there. When the woman says, oh, I changed my mind, I want to be with you, whatever, the same reasons originally that you were not into this relationship and you wanted to leave it are still there. The only difference now is that the takeaway effect has vaporized, has disappeared. It's no longer manipulating you. It's no longer putting rosy glasses on the situation. You understand? You must understand this feeling because at one point or another in your life, it will affect you, and it's important that you see it for what it is. It's not reality. It is just a psychological effect that all of us get affected by it at different times in our lives, at different situations. All the best.